Stop trying. Yes, you heard me correctly. Stop trying to be peaceful. Stop trying to be present. Stop trying to control your mind. Stop trying to be spiritual. Just stop right now, this very moment. Let everything collapse. What happens? Are you afraid? Good. That fear is the first honest thing that has happened in a long time. You have been pretending for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to simply be without agenda, without improvement, without the constant nagging voice that says you are not enough. Let me tell you something nobody has dared to tell you. You are addicted. Not to drugs, not to alcohol, not to sex or money or power. You are addicted to something far more subtle and far more dangerous. You are addicted to self-improvement. You are addicted to becoming. You are addicted to the idea that someday, somehow, if you just try hard enough, you will finally arrive at peace. But peace is not a destination. Peace is not an achievement. Peace is not something that happens after you have controlled all your thoughts, after you have mastered your mind, after you have become the perfect meditator. Peace is what you are right now beneath all this trying, but you cannot see it because you are too busy looking for it. I am going to tell you the truth, and the truth is not comfortable. The truth is not nice. The truth will not make you feel better about yourself. In fact, the truth might make you very angry. But if you can stay with me, if you can allow the anger, allow the resistance, allow everything that arises without running away, something extraordinary will happen. Not because I will give you something new, but because I will take away everything that is false. And when the false disappears, what remains is the real. What remains is you. The next 2 hours are not a teaching. I am not here to teach you anything. There is nothing to teach. What I am going to do is far more dangerous. I am going to dismantle every belief you have about yourself. Every idea you have about the mind, every hope you have about enlightenment, I am going to leave you with nothing. And in that nothingness, if you are courageous enough to remain, you will discover everything. But I must warn you, once you see what I am pointing to, you cannot unsee it. Once the illusion is exposed, it cannot fool you again. Your old life, your old ways of seeking, your old methods of control, they will all become impossible. You will not be able to go back to pretending. You will not be able to go back to the comfortable misery of spiritual struggle. Something in you will die, and I am not talking metaphorically. I am talking about an actual death. The death of the one who has been trying so hard. The death of the controller, the death of the seeker, and in that death, life begins. Real life. Not the life of effort and exhaustion, but the life of spontaneity, the life of ease, the life that flows like water, like wind, like breath, without any resistance, without any friction, without any war. So I ask you now, are you ready? Are you ready to stop trying? Are you ready to face the possibility that everything you have been doing is not just useless, but actually the cause of your suffering? Are you ready to die as the one you think you are, so that you can be reborn as what you have always been? If your answer is yes, or even if your answer is I do not know but I am willing to find out, then let us begin. But if you are here to collect more knowledge, more techniques, more strategies to become a better version of yourself, then you are wasting your time. Close this now. Go find another teacher. Go find someone who will give you hope, who will give you methods, who will tell you that if you practice for 10 more years, you will finally get there. I am not that teacher. I am here to shatter, not to build. I am here to destroy, not to create. I am here to show you that there is nowhere to go because you are already there. Let us begin. Have you noticed? Every morning you wake up with a promise to yourself, today will be different. Today I will be calm. Today I will not let my mind run wild. Today I will finally have control. And what happens? The struggle that feeds what you fight, and then, by the time you finish your coffee, the mind is already racing, planning, worrying, remembering, projecting, and you, once again, you feel like a failure. This failure is not accidental. This failure is built into the very structure of what you are attempting. You are trying to use the mind to control the mind. You are trying to use thought to stop thought. Can you see the absurdity? It is like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. The more you try, the bigger the fire becomes. But nobody has told you this. Your parents did not tell you. Your teachers did not tell you. Your priest, your gurus, your therapist, they have all been telling you the same lie for centuries. The lie that says if you try hard enough, if you practice long enough, if you are disciplined enough, you will finally master your mind. And you believed them. Of course you believed them. What else could you do? So you started meditating. You started doing breathing exercises. You started going to yoga classes. You started reading spiritual books. You started journaling. You started going to therapy. And what happened? Did the mind become silent? Or did you simply become more aware of how noisy it is? Did peace arrive? Or did you simply add one more layer of frustration, the frustration of failing at spirituality itself? Listen to me very carefully. The mind is not your enemy. The mind has never been your enemy. The mind is a beautiful instrument. It is a biocomputer, an organic machine that has evolved over millions of years. It is designed to think. That is its function. Asking the mind not to think is like asking your heart not to beat. It is violence. It is madness. But you have been taught that thoughts are the problem. You have been taught that if only you could stop thinking, you would finally be at peace. And so you sit there trying desperately to create a gap between thoughts, trying to force silence upon a mechanism that is built for noise. And what happens? The more you try to stop thinking, the more thoughts arise. The more you resist, the more they persist. This is not a defect in you. This is a law, a fundamental law of consciousness. Resistance creates energy. Attention feeds energy. Whatever you fight against becomes stronger. Not because the thing itself has power, but because you are giving it power. You are investing your life force, your consciousness, your very being into the battle. And the thought, which is nothing but a ripple, a wave, a momentary fluctuation of energy, it becomes a mountain. It becomes an obsession. It becomes your tormentor. Let me give you an example from your own life. Have you ever tried not to think about something? Maybe someone told you something hurtful and You decided, I will not think about this anymore. What happened? That thought became the only thought. It followed you everywhere, in the shower, while driving, before sleep. It occupied your entire inner space. Why? Because the decision not to think about it is itself a thought about it. The resistance is attention. The fight is fuel. Or take another example. You are lying in bed at 3 in the morning and your mind is spinning. You are replaying a conversation from 5 years ago. You are rehearsing an argument that will never happen. You are worrying about something that may never come to pass. And you say to yourself, stop thinking, go to sleep. Does it work? Of course not. Now you have two problems. The original thoughts and the thought that you should not be thinking. Now you are not just anxious, you are anxious about being anxious. You are not just restless, you are ashamed of being restless. This is the trap. This is the sophisticated prison that humanity has built for itself. We have been taught that we should be different than we are, that our natural state is somehow wrong, that thoughts are enemies to be defeated, and so we go to war with ourselves. And in that war, we become more and more fragmented, more and more divided, more and more exhausted. But here is the secret that nobody tells you. The exhaustion is not coming from the thoughts. The exhaustion is coming from the fight against the thoughts. It is the resistance that drains you, not the mind itself. A thought by itself is weightless. It appears and disappears in a fraction of a second. It has no substance. It is made of the same stuff as dreams, as clouds, as shadows. But when you grab it, when you engage with it, when you try to push it away or hold on to it, it becomes heavy. It becomes solid. It becomes your burden. Think about it. When you are completely absorbed in something, when you are dancing or painting or making love or watching a sunset, does the mind bother you? No. Not because the mind has stopped. The mind is still there, still functioning, but you are not at war with it. You are not trying to control it. You are simply flowing with life. And in that flow, the mind becomes transparent. It is there, but it does not obstruct. It is functioning, but it is not a problem. The problem arises the moment you step back and say, I should not be thinking this. I should be more present. I should be more mindful. I should be more spiritual. That should, that judgment, that comparison between what is and what should be, that is where the suffering begins. Not in the thought itself, but in the relationship you have with the thought. Now, you might say, but I have to control my thoughts. Otherwise, I will be overwhelmed. Otherwise, I will be lost in negativity. Otherwise, I will never grow, never evolve, never transcend. And I say to you, who is this I that believes it must control? Have you ever looked? Have you ever turned your attention to the one who is trying so hard to manage, to fix, to improve? This is the question that will take you to the next layer. But before we go there, let me summarize what we have discovered so far. You cannot control your thoughts because the controller is itself a thought. The one who is trying to achieve silence is the noise itself. And every effort you make to stop the mind only feeds the mind. Every technique, every practice, every strategy is just another way of saying, I am not enough as I am. I need to be different. And that very statement is the root of all suffering. So what is the alternative? We will come to that. But first, you must see clearly, without any doubt, without any hope of escape, that what you have been doing does not work, that it has never worked, that it can never work, not because you are doing it wrong, but because the very approach is flawed. The very foundation is built on sand. You are not the problem. The mind is not the problem. The thoughts are not the problem. The problem is the idea that there is a problem. The problem is the belief that you are separate from the mind, separate from the thoughts, and that you must somehow control this wild animal inside you. But you are not separate. You are not the controller. So we have seen that the struggle is the problem. But now a deeper question arises. Who is this one who struggles? Who is this entity that believes it must control the mind? You say, I must control my thoughts. But who is this I? Have you ever looked, have you ever turned your attention completely toward this sense of I? Not theoretically, not philosophically, but directly, experientially. The phantom behind your eyes. Now please close your eyes for a moment. Not literally, just in your imagination as you listen. Feel into this sense of I, this feeling that you are somebody. This feeling that there is a person inside your head, behind your eyes, looking out at the world, experiencing thoughts, making decisions, trying to control things. Can you find it? Can you locate it? Where is it exactly? Is it in your head? Is it in your chest? Is it in your whole body? Or is it somehow separate from your body? Look very carefully. Do not accept any answer from your memory, from your knowledge, from what you have been told. Look freshly. Look as if you are looking for the first time. Where is this I? Where is this one who's trying so hard to be peaceful, to be present, to be enlightened? Can you find it? Or is it like trying to grasp smoke? The moment you reach for it, it is not there. The moment you look for it, it disappears. This is one of the most profound discoveries you can make. The one who thinks they are not enough, the one who thinks they need to improve, the one who thinks they need to control their mind, this one does not actually exist. It is a phantom, a ghost, a habit of thinking that has been repeated so many times that it has created the illusion of solidity, but it has no substance, it has no reality. It is nothing but a collection of thoughts, memories, ideas, and conditioning that you have mistaken for yourself. Let me say it again because this is crucial. You are not the I. The I is a thought, a concept, a mental construct. It is the central thought around which all other thoughts organize themselves. It is the master thought, the king thought, the thought that says, I am the thinker, I am the experiencer, I am the doer. But if you look for this I, if you really investigate it, you will find nothing, absolutely nothing. Just emptiness, just space, just pure awareness with no center, no boundary, no inside, no outside. And this is terrifying for the mind, because the mind has been living its entire existence based on this illusion of I. The mind has been saying, I think, therefore I am. I feel, therefore I am. I experience, therefore I am. But what if thinking happens and there is no thinker? What if feeling happens and there is no feeler? What if experiencing happens and there is no experiencer? Then who are you? Or more accurately, what are you? You see, The mind cannot conceive of existence without a center. The mind needs someone to be experiencing, someone to be in control, someone to take credit or blame. Without this someone, the mind feels lost. The mind feels like it will dissolve into nothing. And it is right, it will dissolve into nothing. But that nothing is not empty in the negative sense. That nothing is fullness. That nothing is everything. That nothing is what you truly are. But let us go slowly. Let us not jump ahead. First, you must see clearly that this I that you have been taking yourself to be is nothing but a thought. A very persistent thought. A very convincing thought. But still just a thought. And like all thoughts, it arises and it passes. It comes and it goes. It appears and it disappears. You wake up in the morning and gradually this sense of I emerges. I am awake. I need coffee. I have things to do. And this I seems so solid, so real, so undeniable. But then you go to sleep, and where does it go? In deep sleep, there is no I. There is no sense of being somebody. There is no person. There is just pure existence, pure being, without any subject, without any object. And this is your natural state. This is what you are when you are not pretending to be somebody, when you are not maintaining the fiction of I, but you have been trained since childhood to believe in this fiction. Your parents kept saying your name, John, Mary, David, Sarah. They kept saying you are this, you are that. You are a good boy, you are a bad girl, you are smart, you are stupid. And slowly, a sense of being a separate entity developed. The I was born, and with the birth of the I came all the problems, because the I is insecure, the I is afraid, the I feels inadequate, the I feels like it is not enough, and so the I starts trying to become something, to achieve something, to prove something. But here is the joke. The I is trying to become what you already are. The I is trying to find peace, but the I itself is the disturbance. The I is trying to find silence, but the I itself is the noise. The I is trying to find freedom, but the I itself is the prison. Can you see the impossibility? Can you see why all your efforts have failed? Because the one who is making the effort is the problem. The one who is seeking is what needs to be dropped. The one who is trying to control is what needs to disappear. Now, this does not mean you become unconscious. This does not mean you become like a vegetable. This does not mean you lose your ability to function in the world. What it means is that functioning happens without the constant commentary of I. Actions happen without the one who claims to be doing them. Thoughts arise without the one who claims to be thinking them. Life flows without the one who claims to be living it. And in that flow, there is an ease, a grace, a beauty that the I can never know. Because the I is always efforting, always striving, always becoming. Let me give you an example. You are walking in nature. The sun is shining, birds are singing, flowers are blooming. If you are present, if there is no I interfering, you simply merge with the experience. You become the walking, you become the seeing, you become the hearing. There is no separation. There is no one standing apart from the experience saying, I am experiencing beauty. There is just beauty experiencing itself. And in that moment, there is total peace, total fulfillment, total completeness. But then the I comes in. The I says, this is beautiful. I should take a photo. I should post this on Instagram. I should remember this. I should try to recreate this feeling tomorrow. And immediately the experience is broken. The unity is shattered. Now there is a subject and an object. Now there is someone experiencing something, and in that split, the beauty is lost. The peace is lost. The fulfillment is lost. Because the I cannot experience unity. The I, by its very nature, creates duality, creates separation, creates distance. This is why all your peak experiences, all your moments of joy, all your glimpses of peace, they are always momentary. They come and they go. Because the I cannot sustain them. The I is always there, lurking in the background, waiting to take ownership, waiting to say, I experienced something wonderful. And the moment the I comes in, the wonder is gone, the magic is gone. What remains is just a memory, a dead thing, a corpse of an experience. But if you understand this, if you see that the I is the problem, then a different kind of relating to life becomes possible. Instead of trying to have more peak experiences, instead of trying to create more moments of peace, you begin to investigate the I itself. You begin to see it for what it is, a phantom, a shadow, a habit of thinking. And in that seeing, without any effort, without any practice, the I begins to lose its grip. It begins to lose its seeming solidity. It begins to be seen through. And this is the real meditation. Not sitting quietly and trying to stop thoughts, but looking directly at the one who is trying to stop thoughts. Not trying to be present, but looking at the one who thinks they are not present. Not trying to achieve silence, but looking at the one who is disturbed by noise. This inquiry, this investigation, this looking, this is the only thing that can free you, because it goes to the root. It does not trim the branches. It does not paint over the rust. It pulls out the very foundation of suffering. But this inquiry must be alive. It must be fresh. It must be done now, not based on what you have read in books, not based on what some teacher told you, but based on your own direct looking. Right now, as you are listening to me, can you feel this sense of I, this sense of being someone? Can you feel how it is located somewhere? Can you feel how it seems to be the center of your experience? Now, look at it. Look directly at it. Do not think about it. Do not analyze it. Just look. Look with the same attention you would look at a flower, at a face, at a sunset. Just pure looking. What do you find? Is there someone there? Or is there just looking happening? Is there an experiencer, or is there just experiencing? If you look honestly, without any preconceptions, you will find there is no one there. There is just awareness, just consciousness, just presence, but no person, no entity, no separate self. And this discovery is not a belief. It is not a philosophy. It is not something you have to convince yourself of. It is a simple, direct, obvious fact. Like seeing that there is no snake when you look at the rope. The snake was never there. It was always just a rope. But in the dim light, in your fear, in your imagination, you created a snake. You believed in a snake. You reacted to a snake. And you suffered because of a snake that never existed. The I is exactly like that snake. It seems so real. It seems so threatening. It seems so solid. But when you look at it directly, when you bring the light of awareness to it, it is not there. It never was there. It was always just thoughts arising and passing. It was always just consciousness playing with itself. It was always just the vastness pretending to be small, the infinite pretending to be finite, the eternal pretending to be limited. And now the game is up, the pretense is exposed, the phantom is seen for what it is. Nothing, nobody, pure fiction. And in this seeing, a great burden drops, the burden of being somebody, the burden of maintaining this false identity, the burden of protecting this ego, the burden of trying to improve this person, the burden of making this person spiritual. All of it drops, and what remains is lightness, is freedom, is an indescribable sense of relief, not the relief of achieving something, but the relief of finally dropping the impossible task, the relief of finally seeing that there was never anyone who needed to be fixed. There was never anyone who needed to become enlightened. There was never anyone at all, just this, just awareness, just being, just the eternal now, expressing itself in infinite ways. Now we come to something that will change your entire relationship with the mind. Your mind, the innocent prisoner of your war. You have been taught that the mind is your enemy. You have been taught that the mind is wild, chaotic, out of control, something to be tamed, disciplined, mastered. But this is completely wrong, completely false. The mind is not your enemy. The mind is innocent. The mind is like a small child, like a puppy, like a parrot. It is simply doing what it was designed to do. And you, in your ignorance, in your misunderstanding, you have been torturing it. Think about it. If you had a dog and the dog was barking, would you punish the dog for barking? Would you beat the dog? Would you starve the dog? Would you lock the dog in a dark room and tell it that it is bad, that it should not bark? No. Because you understand that barking is the nature of a dog. Dogs bark. That is what they do. You might train the dog to bark less in certain situations, but you would not go to war with the dog's nature. You would not try to stop the dog from being a dog. But this is exactly what you are doing with your mind. The mind thinks. That is its nature. That is its function. The mind is a biological mechanism that has evolved over millions of years. It is designed to solve problems, to plan for the future, to remember the past, to protect you from danger, to help you survive. And it does its job brilliantly. Without the mind, you would not be able to function in the world. You would not be able to drive a car, to read a book, to have a conversation, to earn a living. The mind is a beautiful instrument, but you have turned it into an enemy. You have declared war on your own mind, and in this war, you are torturing something innocent, something that is simply trying to do its job. Let me explain this more deeply. When a thought arises, it does not arise because the mind is bad. It does not arise because you are unspiritual. It arises because of causes and conditions. It arises because of your past experiences, your conditioning, your genetics, your environment, your brain chemistry. A thought is like a wave in the ocean. It arises from the ocean. It is made of the ocean, and it returns to the ocean. It is not separate from the ocean. It is not the enemy of the ocean. It is simply the ocean expressing itself. But you have been taught to see thoughts as intruders, as invaders, as something that should not be there. You have been taught that a spiritual person has no thoughts, that an enlightened person has a silent mind. And so you look at your thoughts and you feel ashamed. You feel like a failure. You feel like something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with your mind. The mind is doing exactly what it is supposed to do. The problem is not the mind. The problem is your idea about what the mind should be. You have an ideal, the ideal of a silent mind, the ideal of a peaceful mind, the ideal of a controlled mind. And because you have this ideal, you are constantly comparing your actual mind with this ideal. And of course, your actual mind falls short. Of course, your actual mind seems noisy, chaotic, restless. Because the ideal is not real. The ideal is a fantasy. The ideal is something you created in your imagination based on things you have read, things you have heard, things you have been told. But it has nothing to do with reality. In reality, the mind of a so-called enlightened person is not fundamentally different from your mind. Thoughts still arise, memories still come, plans still form. The difference is not in the mind. The difference is in the relationship to the mind. An enlightened person does not fight with thoughts, does not judge thoughts, does not try to control thoughts. An enlightened person simply watches thoughts arise and pass, like watching clouds in the sky, like watching traffic on the street, with no involvement, with no identification, with no problem. But you are involved with every thought. You are identified with every thought. Every thought that arises, you take personally. A thought arises, I am not good enough, and immediately you believe it, you become it, you suffer because of it. Or a thought arises, I am better than others, and immediately you become proud, you become arrogant, you create separation. Or a thought arises, I need to check my phone, and immediately you are compelled. You are controlled, you are a slave to the thought. This is the real problem. Not that thoughts arise, but that you cannot see them as just thoughts. You take them to be truth. You take them to be commands. You take them to be reality. And because you give them so much importance, so much attention, so much energy, they become powerful. They become your masters. They control your emotions. They control your actions. They control your entire life. And then you complain that you cannot control your thoughts. But the truth is, you have given them all the control. You have handed over the keys of your inner kingdom to passing thoughts. Let me give you a simple example. You are sitting quietly and a thought arises, I should call my mother. Now, this is just a thought. It arose from some association, some memory, some feeling. It has no inherent power. It is just a mental movement. But what do? You either immediately pick up your phone and call your mother, or you start arguing with the thought. You start thinking, no, I called her yesterday. I do not need to call her today. She will think I am needy. Or you start feeling guilty. I am a bad son. I should call her more often. And now, what started as a simple, innocent thought has become a whole drama, has become a problem, has become suffering. But what if you simply saw it as a thought? What if you simply noticed, oh, a thought arose about calling mother, and left it at that? No judgment, no action, no reaction, just noticing, just awareness. Would that thought have any power over you? No. It would arise and it would pass like a bubble. The struggle that feeds what you fight, you traded one addiction for another and crowned it holy. The addiction called spirituality. The bottles and bargains were easy to spot. This one hides inside incense and Sanskrit. It promises purity the way the old habits promised relief tomorrow. After one more class, one more retreat, one more perfect morning. You call it path, I call it postponement in robes. I am not against spirituality. I am simply saying the ego has learned to chant. The hunger for becoming did not die. It found prayer beads and better lighting. Look at the mat. A simple rectangle of rubber becomes a stage. You arrive to meet your breath and end up performing it. The mirror is a silent judge. The room is an audience. Alignment turns into virtue. Flexibility into moral currency. You compete with your own reflection, then with the person 2 mats over, then with an image in your head that no body can satisfy. Injuries become stigmata you wear with pride. The teacher's hand adjusts your posture, and the heart secretly asks, am I special yet? I am not against yoga. I am simply saying that when the pose props up the person, the body is used to polish a mask. If your balance depends on who is watching, it is not balance, it is negotiation. From the mat, the game expands into what I call the competition of consciousness. Who is more present? Who sat the longer retreat? Who has the deepest playlist, the cleanest diet, the purest morning routine? The ego that once counted followers now counts mindful minutes. The same scoreboard, new numbers. You trade gossip for high vibe talk, but the flavor is identical comparison dressed as sincerity. Even humility is turned into theater. You confess your imperfections to prove your spiritual transparency. Ask yourself, is this love of truth or love of image? Are you sharing presence or selling a persona called awake? When awakening becomes a status project, you will do whatever it takes to protect the status, edit the story, hide the mess, punish the parts of you that won't behave. That is not freedom, that is a cleaner prison. Meditation is the subtlest hiding place of all because it earns applause while it resists what is. You sit to escape your life and call it dharma. You use the breath like a sedative to push away anger, grief, desire, boredom, anything unruly. Calm becomes a shield you raise against intimacy. You are not resting in awareness. You are staging a silence. This is sophisticated resistance, polishing the cage instead of opening the door. I am not against meditation. I am simply saying watch what you are using it for. If the cushion is a courtroom where you prosecute, your own humanity. No bell will ever set you free. A brief story is enough. A seeker visited a master for tea. The master poured until the cup overflowed and kept pouring. "Stop, it's full," cried the seeker. "Like this cup," the master said, "you are full of opinions, of methods. How can I offer anything?" The point is not that methods are useless, but that fullness is a form of fear. When you are packed with techniques, you cannot taste the obvious. You are too busy stirring the tea to drink it. A single Sufi image, and we move on. Water sellers stand thigh-deep in the river, shouting, "Fresh water," to thirsty passers-by. This is the whole marketplace of the sacred. Selling what cannot be owned. Advertising what already saturates you. Awareness is the river. You are in it now. Buying more cups does not make you less wet. Modern life turns the joke into neon. Notifications tug at the mind like small children. Algorithms barter attention for identity. And the self tracks itself as if existence were a dashboard. Into this comes the wellness costume, the playlist, the mat, the app. None of these are evil. They are empty until you stuff them with hunger. When spirituality is a brand, presence is a product, and your day becomes a catalog, the result is spiritual fatigue. You are exhausted not by life, but by the effort to appear above it. The cure is not to burn the mat or delete the app. The cure is honesty. Are you using practice to meet what is or to avoid it? Are you breathing to be intimate with this moment or to pass the test you wrote for yourself? There is a reason the old traditions whisper, "No mind, let go, suchness." They are not slogans, they are solvents. No mind does not mean anti-mind. It means you stop renting your worth to thought. Let go does not mean collapse. It means ending the tug of war with what is already happening. Suchness is the ordinary miracle, the taste of tea, when you are not tasting your idea of tea. In this light, a yoga class can be beautiful. Movement becomes prayer. Breath becomes music. The body becomes an honest animal. But only when the scoreboard is turned off. The moment you chase the image of purity, you lose the innocence you came for. You may say, "But striving brought me here." True. The raft was essential to cross the river. The mistake is strapping it to your back and climbing the mountain. A method is a bridge. Do not live on it. Practice has a maturation point where effort ripens into ease. If you keep chewing the peel, do not blame the fruit for being bitter. Here is a quieter angle, one that meets you where you actually live. You work hard, you care for others, your schedule bends around obligations. The mind craves an island, so you build one called spiritual me, a private country with strict borders. Everyone must remove their shoes before entering, including you. But life does not honor your border policy. Children and deadlines storm the shore. The waves come in anyway. At first you make stronger walls. Later you discover the sea was never the enemy. The island was the fantasy. When the border collapses, meditation leaks into traffic, dishes, emails, a friend's tired voice. Not because you force it, but because nothing is exiled. 3 small lessons for this age of metrics and mirrors. First, purity is a posture. Innocence is your nature. Purity divides life into clean and unclean and then polices the border. Innocence lets everything move and trusts awareness to digest what it can. Second, depth is not measured by duration. A minute of honest presence ends more suffering than an hour of performance. Third, community is medicine until it becomes a pageant. If your circle makes you more afraid of being messy, it's not a sangha, it's a showroom. How do yoga classes feed the ego? By giving the ego something to improve that looks unimprovable. The pose becomes a parable. If I can wrap this body into a noteworthy shape, I am worthy. The body is innocent. It will try to obey the story until it tears. Instead of bending to please the mirror, let the pose teach proportion, kindness, humor. A wobble is not a sin, it is the truth of that moment standing up. The ego cannot use what it cannot own. Laughter at your own wobble is a small enlightenment. What is the competition of consciousness? It is the old hunger wrapped in incense. It loves spiritual fashion, humble brag retreats, and curated vulnerability. It is terrified of ordinary love because love makes no report. It does not mind if you are awake as long as you announce it. The antidote is secrecy, not hiding, but privacy. Let a portion of your life be unposted, unmeasured, unseen. What grows in the dark is real. And meditation as sophisticated resistance, it is sitting to get rid of what asks to be welcomed. It is turning the breath into a bouncer at the door of the heart. Resistance always creates the very energy it fears. When you stop using practice to oppose your life, practice becomes intimacy. The breath does not push away feeling, it makes room. Calm does not smother fire. It lets the flame reveal what it warms and what it burns. Then even agitation has a message that can be heard without obeying it. You might worry that without spiritual ambition you will slide backward to where presence. There is nowhere to return to because there was nowhere you left. The only thing that falls away is the performance. You do not become less disciplined. Discipline becomes love. You do not become less devoted. Devotion stops being theater. The mat is still on the floor. The cushion is still there. But now they are places to meet life, not to escape it or advertise it. The addiction called spirituality fades by the same law as every addiction. You see the cost without judgment, and the payoff loses its glamour. You notice how the chase postpones intimacy, and you become unwilling to pay the price. This unwillingness is not a moral stance. It is fatigue turning into wisdom. When the hunt ends, the river appears where it has always been, inside the very moment you tried to improve. Awareness is not a badge. It is the water you walk in. Yoga is not a ladder. It is a dance that doesn't climb. Meditation is not a weapon. It is the open hand. Then the simplest test arrives. Can you be ordinary without apology? Can you practice without display, love without audience, rest without excuse? If yes, the addiction has loosened. If not good, now you know where to look. The point is not to quit your classes or burn your books. The point is to stop using sacred things to avoid the sacredness of what is. When that shift lands, the competition dissolves, resistance grows quiet, and the ego has nothing to carry. What remains is so modest it is hard to market. Breathing, moving, listening, laughing, presence, wearing everyday clothes. You learn to sit back and watch, and for a while it felt like freedom. The storms came and you weren't blown away. The mind shouted and you didn't shout back. But very quietly, a new character took the throne behind your eyes and called itself the witness. It dressed in dignity, spoke in calm tones, and kept a private ledger of your inner life. How present you were, how distracted, how close you were to some invisible target. It looked like awareness. It was only a subtler thought. The witness is another ripple pretending to be the sea. Look closely. When observer becomes observed, not philosophically, but as a simple act of honesty. Where is this witness located? The head points upward and says behind the eyes. The chest claims it now and then. A faint tightening announces its authority. If you try to grab it, it moves. If you try to outline it, the edges blur. Ask it for a shape, a color, an age, a boundary, and what answers back is only more commentary. The so-called witness is a stance the mind takes when it's trying to be holy. It is posture plus opinion. When attention rests directly on that posture without trying to fix or keep it, its solidity dissolves like frost on a window that the sun has found. Modern life makes the disguise convincing. A wearable pings you with mindful minutes, and the witness nods like a supervisor. An app awards you a streak, and the witness strokes its beard. You are progressing. You scroll a serenity feed, and the witness grades your inner weather. Pass, fail, try again tomorrow. I am not against technology. I am simply saying that the same old addiction to becoming has learned to count with quieter numbers. The witness loves numbers because numbers make it feel real. Here is the turn that breaks the loop. Awareness does not need a watcher to confirm it. Awareness is aware of itself. Think of a room filled with light, the furniture is visible, and the presence of illumination is self-evident without a second lamp shining on the first lamp. Seeing does not require a seer perched above it to certify that seeing is occurring. Seeing is its own proof. The urge to stand outside of being, to inspect being, is the final mirage of separation. You cannot become the lens that photographs the lens. Awareness is self-luminous. It does not need applause, and it does not need a manager. Do not confuse the finger with the moon. The witness is the pointing finger, useful at first to redirect attention away from entanglement. But if you start worshipping the finger, you miss the sky. When the pointing has done its job, the gesture relaxes, and the moon remains without being owned by anyone who points. In the same way, when the witness has served its purpose, it can be allowed to vanish into the very seeing it tried to supervise. What remains is simple: seeing without a seer, hearing without a hearer, life happening without a clerk taking notes. You can taste this in small, ordinary scenes. You're sitting at your desk, and the mind offers a plan, a memory, a worry. Previously, the witness would appear to curate the moment, keep this, reject that, make this spiritual. Instead, Let there be bare noticing with no curator. Thoughts pass the way people pass a cafe window. You don't own them. You don't evict them. You don't audition them for a role. The relief is immediate. Less commentary, more clarity. Intelligence moves without the drag of someone trying to look intelligent. When you sit to meditate, notice the final trick. A quieter pride wants to measure depth by duration, calm by heart rate graphs, insight by the elegance of your journal afterward. Good see it, not to wage war on it, but to let the measurer be measured too. The witness becomes the observed, and in that gentle reversal, its authority collapses. What is left is watchfulness without a watcher, a stillness that is not the outcome of control, but the nature of awareness. When you no longer interfere, no mind is not the absence of thinking. It is the absence of ownership. Thoughts move like weather across a sky that never needed permission to be open. In a conversation that is growing heated, the old witness whispers advice. Be mindful. Keep your image. Say the right wise thing. Feel how the chest tightens when you obey that whisper. Now notice the whisper itself as a phenomenon in awareness. The moment it is seen, you are free to respond rather than perform. Sometimes you speak plainly and set a boundary. Sometimes you listen and say nothing. Sometimes you laugh and the heat drops out of the room. Whatever happens, it happens from intimacy, not from self-management. This is the beginning of conflict without being conflicted. The final boundary dissolving is simpler than it sounds. The boundary was never a wall, only the habit of placing a center where none is required. When the witness relaxes, the distance between you and life collapses. Walking is just walking without the walker peering over the shoulder of each step. Music is just music, not a self polishing its taste. A bird calls outside, and there is the clean joy of sound without a story about who is enjoying it. Suchness is not a trance. It is the end of standing apart from what already is. 2 or 3 life lessons are enough to anchor this in today's world. First, privacy of being is medicine. Let some moments be unposted, unmeasured, unseen. What grows in the dark is real. Second, friendliness beats technique when the mind is noisy. Welcome the weather and the storm spends itself. Third, depth is honesty, not theatre. One sincere minute ends more suffering than an hour of performance for an inner audience. These are not rules. They are reminders that awareness does the heavy lifting when you stop auditioning for awareness. If you want a simple way to verify this now, notice that the fact of knowing is present before you decide to know, during whatever appears, and after it passes. You did not manufacture the capacity to be aware. You only stopped confusing it with the role that claimed it. The witness was a raft grateful to it, yes, but the shore was never separate from the water. When you set the raft down, you don't lose the crossing. You realize you were already home. From here, the transition into the next discovery becomes natural. If awareness is not a project and the witness can retire, what remains is the taste that silence was never absent, that peace never needed your permission, but that belongs to the next unfolding. For now, It is enough to recognize the witness as a thought with posture, to let it be seen, and to enjoy the unguarded simplicity that rushes in when the observer becomes the observed and then disappears into the watching that was always here. You have been chasing silence as if it were a shy animal hiding in the forest, and the very chase has frightened it away. Listen carefully. I am not against practices. I am simply saying that the peace you are running after is not an achievement, it is your nature. You are what you are chasing. Meditation is not a project, it is a remembrance. Awareness is not manufactured, it is discovered. The whole secret is simple and devastating. Silence was never absent. You were busy asking permission to rest, as if the mind were a government office stamping your application approved. Peace does not need your signature. Suchness is already here. There is a story about Nasruddin searching under a street lamp. He had lost his key inside his dark house, but he was looking in the pool of light because it is brighter here. You laugh, but this is the whole joke of the spiritual marketplace. You lost the key to ease in the unlit intimacy of your own being, and you keep hunting in bright places, books, apps, retreats, second-hand certainties, because they feel safer than your silent room. The key has not moved. Only your attention has been seduced into the lamplight of methods. Let go, come home, and you will feel the key already in your palm. Let me tell you the same truth from another angle. A master found a young monk sitting like a statue, polishing his posture as if it were a trophy. The master picked up a tile and began polishing it. The monk asked what he was doing. Making a mirror, the master said. You cannot make a mirror out of a tile, the monk protested. And you cannot become awakened by polishing sitting, the master replied. Understand this. I am not against sitting. I am simply saying that no amount of friction can create what you already are. No mind is not the product of effort. It is what remains when effort gets tired of itself. When you relax the strategy, awareness shines of its own accord, like a mirror that never asked to be polished. Another picture points without words. The Buddha once held up a flower. He said nothing, no sutra, no sermon, just the freshness of a blossom in morning light. Millions of ears were ready for doctrine. Only one man, it was, smiled. That smile was not an answer, it was recognition. Silence speaks more eloquently than any commentary when there is nobody left to translate it into concepts. You keep asking for more sentences, but the flower is enough. The fragrance does not explain itself, and yet it communicates totally. Meditation is that kind of communication, wordless, immediate, innocent. Consider the story of the two monks who crossed a river with a woman. One carried her through the water and set her down on the far bank. Hours later, the other monk fumed, "We are not supposed to touch women." The first said, "I left her at the river. Are you still carrying her? You have been carrying every unfinished thought, every imagined rule of holiness, every self-image, across miles of mental terrain. This is why you feel heavy. When carrying stops, silence is not achieved, it is revealed. Awareness is not a moral posture, It is the space in which postures come and go. Sufis tell of a lover who knocked at the beloved's door. "Who is there?" came the voice from within. "It is I," said the lover. "There is no room for two," the beloved replied. The lover went away, burned for a while, and returned. "Who is there?" asked the voice. "It is you," whispered the lover. The door opened. Do not be afraid of this language. It points to the same intimacy. When the I that seeks special states relaxes, you do not vanish. The obstacle vanishes. Love remains. Silence remains. Presence remains. The door was never locked. It only looked closed from the side of the one insisting on entering. You keep waiting for ideal conditions. A quiet room, a perfect morning, a mind without weather. That is how the seeker postpones eternity. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of awareness. Traffic passes, the kettle hums, a child laughs downstairs. Nothing violates your being unless you sign the complaint. Peace that needs permission from circumstances will always be insecure. Peace that is your nature is unbothered. Awareness is the room. The sounds are the guests. Guests come and go. The room stays. You do not create the room by tidying the guests. You recognize it by stopping the war. Modern life makes the comedy transparent. You set a meditation timer and then watch the seconds like a stock price, hoping your value will rise with the count. You post a photograph of your stillness and refresh the screen to see if silence earns hearts. You add another book on letting go to a shelf already buckling under previous attempts to let go. This is not condemnation, it is compassion. The mind is an innocent machine that believes more fuel will solve the problem of too much heat. Awareness is cool by its very nature. When you stop pouring gasoline labeled improvement onto the fire, the flame settles by itself. There is no hero to congratulate, no sinner to punish, just the simple relief of not interfering. The joke of the journey is sweet rather than cruel. You are what you are chasing. The donkey runs after the carrot that hangs from its own neck. You have placed bliss just ahead of yourself and then sprinted until you forgot you were the one dangling the promise. The more you postpone, the more real the distance seems. The more you become total in the here now, the more the rope disappears. You can feel this immediately. Let the breath be as it is. Let thought be as it is. Let the heartbeat be as it is. Watchfulness without a watcher tastes weightless. Joy appears without reason. Celebration does not need an occasion when existence itself is enough. There is a ring in an old Sufi court with an inscription behind the stone. This too will pass. Kings looked at it in triumph and were humbled. They looked at it in despair and were comforted. The wisdom is not only about events, it is about mental weather. A storm of anger rises, and if you do not build a house inside it, it passes. A fog of boredom drifts in. If you do not make it your identity, it passes. What does not pass? Notice that. The seeing that remains before, during, and after every mood is your own being. Call it silence, call it awareness, call it no mind. Names don't touch it. It does not ask for your belief. It asks only that you stop pretending to be the storm. When you live from this recognition, compassion becomes natural. You don't have to practice love like a technique. Love flows because the center that was always bargaining has relaxed. You listen more honestly because there is no judge rehearsing counter-arguments. You speak more cleanly because there is no image to protect. You act more precisely because you are not dragging history into the present. This is spontaneity, not impulsiveness. Innocence, not ignorance. Playfulness returns. Gratitude ceases to be a duty and becomes a fragrance. What about the mind? Use it like a beautiful instrument. Compose when a song wants to be born. Calculate when numbers need to meet. Plan when a journey has details. And when the music stops, when the sum is done, when the bag is packed, put the instrument down. No need to sleep with the violin under your chin. The problem was never thought itself. It was identification, the old habit of saying, "This is me." Thought happens in awareness the way a breeze moves across a lake. The lake does not chase the breeze, and it does not resist it. It mirrors and it rests. That is meditation, choiceless awareness, relaxed and total. You may ask, how to remember this in the rush of a day? Not by clenching, not by forcing. The trick, if there is one, is friendliness toward whatever appears. Befriend the itch to check your phone. Feel its texture. Watch how it swells when opposed and fades when welcomed. Befriend the ache in the chest before a difficult conversation. Notice its edges, its heat, its innocent wish for safety. When friendliness grows, control becomes unnecessary. What you used to call discipline is replaced by love. And love has an intelligence that rules cannot imitate. Everything I am saying points back to the first sentence. Silence was never absent. You can decorate it with practices if you enjoy them, but do not mistake the garland for the garden. You can celebrate it with words like awareness, let go, no mind, presence, but do not worship the words. Let them fall from your hands as soon as they have done their work. The more total you are with what is, the less you need the consolation of becoming. The more intimately you taste the here now, the funnier the chase appears. You laugh, not at yourself, but at the old misunderstanding, and in that laughter the last tension dissolves. Then life is wonderfully ordinary. Washing dishes is water meeting earth and shining again. A walk is merely feet greeting ground. A kiss is two silences discovering they were one. Nothing special. And because it is nothing special, it is pure. This purity is not moral, it is existential. It is the innocence of being that does not try to be innocent. And if tomorrow the mind starts planning another pilgrimage, let it plan. Awareness will still be here, like the sky in which clouds invent 1,000 shapes, and then remember they were only sky. So let it be simple. Let meditation be remembrance and watchfulness be ease. Let love be your fragrance and play be your prayer. Do not postpone. Do not ask for permission. The door you have been knocking on from the outside opens from within, and when it opens, you discover there was never a door, only the habit of standing outside your own home. There comes a moment when the entire project of becoming loosens, when trying finally dies, and with that loosening a very old fear wakes up. The body thinks surrender means falling through space without a floor. The stomach tightens, the throat narrows, the heart drums as if to say, without my effort, everything will collapse. See what is actually at stake. Not your life, but the role that has been pretending to run it. The death I speak of is the end of the inner foreman, not the end of the organism. When trying finally dies, being does not stop. It stops being managed. Awareness does not dim, it stops being owned. Silence does not have to be manufactured. It reveals that it was carrying you the whole time. Surrender terrifies the seeker because the seeker lives on tomorrow. The mind promises, one more push and we will arrive. Let go exposes the joke. Arrival was the mask of distance. You have trained yourself to equate control with safety, so the first taste of trust feels like danger. But look at facts you usually ignore. Breathing happens before you decide to breathe. Balance appears as you walk without consulting a manual. Words form in your mouth as you speak to a friend without a committee meeting inside. This is the intelligence of no mind already at work. You did not switch it on and you cannot switch it. Surrender is simply the honesty to stop pretending the river flows because you paddle hard enough. Non-doing is often misunderstood as doing nothing. It is not passivity, it is effortless action. An old desert proverb says, tie your camel and trust. That is the flavor. You still answer the email, you still pay the bill, you still lock the door at night, but the doing is clean, no extra narrator demanding applause or threatening punishment. What used to be called discipline becomes naturalness. What used to be anxiety becomes attentiveness without tension. From this ease, precision increases, not laziness. A cat does not hold a workshop on jumping, it jumps. A musician in true play does not count excellence, the song sings itself. This is non-doing, not absence of movement, but absence of the mover as a separate someone. The fear says, if I stop trying, I will become mediocre. But trying was never the source of your clarity, only the static around it. Have you noticed how the best responses arise when you are not preoccupied with performance? You catch the falling glass before thought forms a sentence. You brake at the red light without chanting a mantra about responsibility. You speak an unscripted apology that feels honest because you are not angling for perfection. When the controller relaxes, responsiveness becomes immediate. You do not disappear, the delay disappears. Action happens from presence instead of from pressure. There is a small picture that illuminates all of this without decoration. Before awakening, chop wood and carry water. After awakening, chop wood and carry water. What changes is not the shape of life, but the weight of the one doing it. In the old way, wood and water are evidence in the case you are always prosecuting or defending. In innocence, they are simply wood and water. The work continues, the world continues, but there is no extra somebody lodged between the moment and the movement. Effort remains where it is. Appropriate lifting a sack, building a house, learning a skill, but the efforting identity retires. That retirement is the terror of total surrender, and it lasts only as long as you argue with your own relief. If you want a taste of the difference, look at the most ordinary anxiety, that Sunday evening restlessness that starts building in the chest. The old habit organizes a rescue mission. Lists, forecasts, imaginary conversations, anything to feel in control. Non-doing does not fight the weather. It refuses to build a home inside the storm. The breath is allowed to be shallow or deep. The tightness can hum for a while. The world does not end. From that friendliness, a simple movement appears on its own. A glass of water, a short walk, an email that asks for clarity, or perhaps nothing at all. What happens is not the point. The point is the source. Action from no mind carries no residue. Another glimpse is hidden in a story archer traditions love to tell. A novice tries to hit the target, and every muscle shouts about success and failure. The bow shakes, the arrow wobbles, the mind judges. A master stands, breathes, and at the moment of release there is no releaser, only release. Hitting happens. In that instant, doing is present, the doer is absent, and precision is greater than any strained effort could produce. I am not against practice. I am simply saying that practice matures into let go. Technique polishes the instrument. Music appears when the musician is not in the way. The intelligence of no mind has an ethical fragrance. When trying relaxes, you no longer need to make a scene to prove your goodness. Boundaries are set without hatred. No comes from clarity, not from revenge. Yes comes from love, not from fear. You forgive not because you should, but because carrying the past becomes obviously heavy. You apologize without drama because defending an image feels absurd. This is not moral improvement, it is the disappearance of the one who was always negotiating. Innocence begins to do what cleverness could not. What about ambition, creativity, excellence? They do not vanish. They are purified. The writer still writes, but the sentence chooses itself more freely. The coder still solves the problem, but the solution arrives without the story of being a savior. The athlete trains with totality, not to become somebody special, but because movement is a celebration. Playfulness returns to places that had become grim. Joy shows up without a reason, the way fragrance escapes a flower that was not trying to be fragrant. Surrender also ends a quiet violence you have practiced against your own mind. Non-doing does not forbid thought. It ends the war with it. Thoughts move like weather across an open sky. Some days are busy and swirling. Some are wide and blue. You use the mind as a tool and put it down when the task completes. There is no court-martial for a wandering idea and no medal for a calm minute. Choiceless awareness is not indifference, it is intimacy without ownership. Life feels nearer because no one is standing in front of it holding a certificate. The last refuge of trying is the notion that you must try to surrender. That loop is clever and endless. Who is the one that wants to surrender? If you look closely, it is the same old manager asking for a graceful exit bonus. Total surrender is not a decision made by that character. It is what remains when the character loses credibility. It is ripening rather than conquering. Sometimes it arrives as a soft collapse after exhaustion. Sometimes it arrives as a clear laugh at the absurdity of striving. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet yes to what is, with no drama at all. In every case, the ground of being was already present, waiting for you to stop pretending you were holding it up. If you fear that letting go will make you careless, remember the desert wisdom. Tie your camel and trust. Trust does not cancel intelligence. It reveals a deeper one. You will still meet the deadline, renew the license, and show up for those you love. But panic will not be your engine. Awareness will be your atmosphere. From that atmosphere, decisions are simpler because they are not tangled with self-image. You do what needs doing, and you do not do what does not need doing. Suchness speaks in very plain language. When trying finally dies, life does not become exotic, it becomes intimate. You find yourself breathing as if for the first time. Food tastes like itself. A conversation is just this voice meeting that ear without a third party translating. Meditation is not a task, it is the natural rest of being. Love stops being a negotiation and becomes a fragrance that moves through you without asking your permission. Celebration appears in small places: a cup of tea, warm sunlight on a wall, the sound of rain on the window. And because you are not harvesting these moments for a spiritual portfolio, they remain alive. None of this asks you to withdraw from the world. On the contrary, it invites a deeper engagement because there is less barrier. You can work, create, parent, protest, build, and grieve with totality. And at the same time, there is a softness that does not fracture under outcomes. Success does not inflate you. Failure does not define you. You are not the up or the down. You are the space in which both move. This simple recognition is the intelligence of no mind. It is not an attainment. It is your ground rediscovered. And then the most ordinary miracle begins to feel natural. You are no longer living from a program called me. Life lives and you cooperate. The mind offers its skills when invited and rests when not. The heart opens and closes like a well-made door, and nobody claims to be the architect. The body moves with grace that doesn't need to be photographed to be real. The day is still the day, yet the struggle is absent. This is surrender, not a performance, not a trance, but the undeniable ease of being that was waiting at the edge of your trying. Freedom, when it is no longer a project, looks embarrassingly simple. The day does not sprout wings. It puts on its ordinary clothes. You wake, and instead of consulting a strategy, you feel the body stand, the breath arrive, the light touch the wall. Nothing special. And because it is nothing special, it is pure. This is the joke you resisted. The extraordinary is hiding in the obvious. Ordinary, extraordinary freedom. When there is no manager inside narrating your performance, suchness becomes bright. No mind is not a trance. It is intimacy without interference. You are not watching life from a balcony. You are life unguarded. Washing dishes becomes a small ceremony of presence. Water meets bowl, heat meets bone. The rhythm finds you without counting. There is no spiritual posture, just the gleam of a plate returning as grease yields to warm suds. A very old scene whispers. Through the kitchen, a seeker wanted a grand teaching, and the master simply pointed him back to his bowl. Not as a riddle, not as humiliation, but as the doorway in plain sight. You can feel why. When attention stops bargaining, the hands know what to do. The mind is quiet not because it is silenced, but because it is occupied in its natural way, measuring, adjusting, coordinating, and then it rests. You are not performing meditation. You are allowing life to be simple. Thought continues, but you are no longer the landlord collecting rent from every idea. A plan bubbles up about the afternoon. A memory brushes against the heart. A doubt asks for a chair. You notice. You don't hire. You don't evict. The cloud passes because it is a cloud. The sky does not sign contracts with weather. Thought without being the thinker is not a trick to learn. It is a recognition of how thinking already happens when you don't take possession. The relief is immediate. Less commentary, more clarity. Fewer inner lawsuits, more energy for what actually needs doing. Conflict arises as it will, and the difference is unmistakable. The old habit was to armor up, rehearse, prosecute, win. Now there is contact without contraction. You listen to your partner finish the sentence you didn't like, and instead of crafting a clever defense, you feel your own chest, you feel the shared air, you hear the simple fact that wants to be said. Boundaries are set without hatred. No is clean because it is not revenge. Yes is clean because it is not a purchase. You discover conflict without being conflicted. Heat may be present, hostility is optional. When guilt tries to turn love into a performance, it finds there is no stage and no audience, just two human beings in a room, capable of honesty. In traffic, the same intelligence appears. The line slows, a horn blares, someone cuts in. Formerly, this was a theater for indignation. Now it is weather. A space opens. You let someone in without composing a tweet about your generosity. And a moment later, you miss an opening and someone lets you in. No sermon, no halo. Action without a banner. Non-doing is not doing nothing. It is doing what the moment asks, without dragging a self-image behind it. You tie your camel and trust. You steer and soften. You arrive when you arrive, with less residue. Work continues, and strangely, play returns to it. You write an email and discover there is no need to embroider it with cleverness. You code a function and notice how solutions appear when tension loosens its fist. You make a call you had postponed and feel how the body knows the right cadence when you aren't trying to be impressive. Excellence remains, ambition is purified. The doer, hungry for credit, allergic to blame, steps aside, and the doing becomes precise. When outcomes are favorable, you don't inflate. When they aren't, you don't collapse. Success and failure move like tides. The shore no longer needs to prove it is land. The mind, treated as an innocent instrument, behaves better than when it was treated as an enemy. You pick it up for the task and put it down afterward. There is no court-martial for a wandering thought. There is no trophy for a quiet minute. This friendliness has a fragrance. It smells like patience in the checkout line, like humor when plans change, like a quick apology that actually frees both people instead of chiseling a new halo. You notice how much of your energy used to fund the inner police and how much is now available for living. Ordinary pleasures stop auditioning for your approval and begin to arrive as gifts no one has to earn. Tea tastes like tea instead of mindful tea time. A walk is ground greeting feet, not a registered step count toward virtue. Music is heard by the whole body, not graded by a silent panel. You are not curing life, you are present for it. Joy shows up without reason the way fragrance escapes a flower that is not trying to be fragrant. Celebration becomes your quiet prayer, playfulness, your natural wisdom. Even the old Sunday anxiety loses its throne. It visits like weather and is treated like weather. If action is needed, clarifying a commitment, writing a short note, you notice the impulse and follow it. If nothing is needed, nothing is done. No drama about what this means for your future. No autopsy of your past. The system discovers its own equilibrium when you stop tapping the glass. This is the intelligence of no mind at household scale. A thermostat that works because you are not standing there all day pretending to be the sun. There is also a lightness in how you carry other people's stories. You feel compassion without drowning, involvement without invasion. You can help where help is welcome. You can step back where your help would be a way of avoiding your own discomfort. Love ceases to be rescue and becomes respect. The mysterious result is greater intimacy. Without the mediator called me, the distance shortens. A friend's laughter lands directly. A child's question rearranges your priorities without debate. A stranger's tired eyes on a bus invite a softness you don't have to perform. If you want a single image for this freedom, remember the simplest vignette. A student asked for the secret path, and the master sent him back to wash his bowl after breakfast. The bowl is always there. Inbox and sink, call and commute, weather and breath. The path isn't elevated, it's immediate. Washing dishes as meditation is not a technique. It is the end of quarrel with the sink. Thought without being the thinker is not a mental acrobatics. It is the end of stealing every cloud and writing your name on it. Conflict without being conflicted is not saintly suppression. It is the end of turning heat into identity. What changes now? Nothing and everything. The furniture of life remains where it has always been. Yet the weight is different because the carrier is gone. The program called me stops narrating, and life stops needing a narrator. From here, the freedom is not dramatic, it is reliable. You will forget and remember, tighten and loosen, wander and return, and none of that will compromise what you are. The room does not shrink when furniture is moved. The sky does not doubt itself when storms arrive. You live as nobody special, which is why the day shines without effort. And this is the extraordinary hidden inside the ordinary. The world doing what the world does. mind doing what mind does, heart opening and closing like a well-made door, and no one in the way. You are not above life. You are within it so completely that the old distance cannot be found. Washing, walking, speaking, resting, each is enough, each is complete, each is free. Before we part, let the ending arrive the way evening arrives, without announcement, without effort, softly touching everything that is already here. We have walked together long, enough for what was tight to learn its first language of loosening. If you have been listening from the quiet behind the words, you have noticed that what changed was not the furniture of your life, but the weight you were carrying. Nothing new was bolted onto you. Something old put down its tools. The illusion that you must keep the sky from falling lost its job, and the sky did not fall. Think back to the doorway where you began, tired of trying, tired of failing, tired of the private war. You didn't come for decoration. You came because the armor had grown too heavy to sleep in. From the beginning I told you I would not hand you more equipment. I would take things away, and now, standing closer to the end than the start, notice the simplicity that returns when the workshop closes. The controller you were polishing for better results was revealed as the problem itself. The seeker that promised tomorrow humbled itself and vanished into today. What remains is not an exotic mood. It is the obviousness you kept walking past while chasing the advertisement. I want this to be very clear, almost embarrassingly clear, so the mind cannot pretend it missed the point. You were never asked to become anything. You were invited to stop supporting what was false. You were never asked to win the war. You were shown the door that opens when you stop paying for the ammunition. That door does not lead somewhere else. It leads here, to the room of being you never actually left. The relief you feel is the relief of finally sitting in your own chair. From here, life does what life does. Mornings still include alarms and toothbrushes and keys pretending to hide. Messages arrive, plans are made, news travels, weather changes. You do not float above any of it. You are completely in it, but not entangled by a narrator who must constantly defend or decorate your existence. The mind offers a thought, and you do not have to rent it a room. A mood passes through, and you do not have to build your home inside it. A memory knocks, and you can greet it at the threshold without inviting the entire past to move back in. The open secret is that awareness has always known how to host without surrendering the house. A few practical lights to take with you, not as techniques but as ways of telling the truth. Let a small part of your day belong to privacy, not to secrecy, but to the simple dignity of not measuring or displaying. Put the phone down sometimes, not to be exemplary, but to be intimate with the unrepeatable pattern of this breath, this steam from a kettle, this handwriting that is yours alone. You don't owe the world a report for every moment of your life. Some flowers release their fragrance at night. Leave something unposted so it can be real. When old anxiety visits, meet it with friendliness. You do not need to love the storm to stop hating the sky. Notice its texture, how it tightens the chest or heats the face. Notice the urge to fix it by rearranging the universe. Let the urge live for a bit without giving it a job. Often, a simple movement appears on its own. A glass of water, an honest message, a short walk, a decision that has been waiting for a quiet yes. If no movement appears, that too is movement. Rest is action when action is not needed. This is non-doing, which is never the same as doing nothing. It is intelligence that refuses to waste itself on imaginary emergencies. Relationships become cleaner when you stop narrating yourself. You will still argue, you will still misunderstand, you will still be asked to grow in ways you don't prefer. But without the inner courtroom, there is less smoke and more light. A boundary can be drawn without bitterness. An apology can be offered without bargaining for absolution. You can say, "I don't know," without the shame that used to be attached to that human sentence. You can listen without preparing a performance. Weirdly, intimacy increases when the one who was auditioning leaves the stage. Work does not become sacred theater, it becomes simple. Focus is easier when you are not busy proving a self. Craft receives your attention because attention is free again. Solutions that refuse to appear under pressure often arrive when the grip softens. Excellence remains, ambition purifies. You can still aim high, but you are no longer climbing a ladder to be somebody. You are building because building is beautiful. You are writing because language wants music. You are designing because form wants to serve life more gracefully. Results matter, yet they no longer define your worth, they express your care. The mind, treated as an innocent instrument, behaves far better than when it was treated as an enemy. Pick it up for the task, put it down when the task is complete. No reward for a quiet minute, no punishment for a restless one. Friendliness does the heavy lifting. The more you trust the mind's basic innocence, the more it trusts you back. It becomes like a dog that was overtrained into anxiety and is now learning to play again, curious, responsive, quick to rest. You do not lose your edge. You lose the trembling hand that kept dulling the blade. You ask for lessons that make sense in the world as it is. Here are a few that are as modern as a notification and as old as awareness. First, metrics are useful for machines and clumsy for souls. Use numbers to count what must be counted, calendars, budgets, distances, and refuse to count what requires presence. A minute of honest seeing is deeper than a long streak of performance. Second, curate less, meet more. The impulse to polish is a disguised fear of being met where you are. Third, practice privacy of being, not hiding. Privacy, the unarguable right to live some moments without the noise of witnesses, including the inner one. There is a parable I trust to do gentle work without drama. A person sat in a boat on a misty lake when another boat bumped into them. They turned to shout, but saw the boat was empty, drifting. The shouting dissolved on its own. Most of what you meet is like that empty boat weather of the world bumping into what you imagined yourself to be. When there is no tight ego to defend, you spend less time yelling at water. You steer where steering helps, and you allow where allowing is wiser. You do not become passive. you become accurate. Remember how carefully we expose the temptation to turn witnessing into another job. This is where the circle closes. Watchfulness remains, but the watcher retires. You can notice thoughts, sensations, and moods without hiring a supervisor to grade the moment. Awareness is aware of itself. It does not need a witness with a stamp. This is why the ending can be so gentle. Nothing must be held together. The room is lit from within. If a corner dims, it brightens again for no reason you can take credit for. It is important to say again what surrender is and is not. It is not collapse. It is not apathy. It is not withdrawing from what needs your hands and your voice. Surrender is the end of the imaginary manager. It is life moving without the clerk who insists on signing everything. You still tie your camel. You still lock the door. You still double check the numbers before you send the invoice. But the engine is not dread. The atmosphere is awareness. From that atmosphere, clarity speaks in plain language. Do what needs doing and do not do what does not. Do not be surprised if grief rises when you stop trying so hard. There is a tenderness in discovering how long you bullied yourself in the name of improvement. Let that tenderness wash you without turning it into a new identity. Tears do their work, laughter does its work. Neither proves anything, both are rain. And then there are days with no rain at all, just a generous ordinary light. That light does not ask for poems or posts. It is enough to live under it. When you leave this room, whatever room you are in the world will offer you 1,000 invitations to forget. Good. Forgetting is part of the rhythm. You forget and remember, tighten and loosen, believe and see through. You are not failing when you forget. You are failing only when you believe that forgetting erased what you are. It did not. The space in which forgetting happens is not altered by what appears inside it. Remember this. When the old voices return with old demands, they can be loud. They cannot be final. Let's return once more to the beginning, so the snake of the talk can swallow its tail and become a circle. You arrived exhausted, and I told you exhaustion is the beginning. You expected methods. I took away the toolbox. You sought control. We examined the controller and found a thought in uniform. You tried witnessing. We watched the watcher dissolve into the watching. You chased silence. We laughed gently at the chase and noticed silence had not gone anywhere. You feared surrender. You learned that surrender is not doing nothing, but letting intelligent action rise without a tyrant. You dreamed of transcendence. You found ordinary, extraordinary freedom, washing dishes as meditation, conflict without being conflicted, thought without being the thinker. And now we stand in the doorway again, except there is no doorway. There is only the place you always already are. Let us begin becomes let us continue, and let us continue becomes let us be. If you want a closing image, keep it tiny and domestic so it cannot be turned into spectacle. You turn off a light with the back of your knuckle and feel the cool metal of the switch. For a second, you do not rush to the next thing. You just feel the click and the small darkness bloom. That second is not a practice. It is your nature noticing itself. There is no certificate for it. There is a quiet happiness. Perhaps later you will sit and drink something warm. Do not make a ritual of it unless playfulness asks for a ritual. Let the steam touch your face. Let your tongue report what it tastes without commentary. Let the body have this uncomplicated kindness. Everything we have said is contained in that small scene. Nothing to earn, nothing to prove, nothing to hide, nothing to fix. Just life unguarded. The most accurate instructions are the gentlest. Leave space around moments so they can reveal their own outlines. Leave space around people so they can breathe in your presence. Leave space around thoughts so they can come and go without leaving bruises. If you notice yourself trying to remember these words, smile at the trying. It is only the old manager making one last spreadsheet. Let it close the laptop and step outside. The air does not need to be named good to be breathed. The sky does not need to be named spiritual to be looked at. Your own presence does not need to be named presence to be present. This is what it means to forget well, not to erase, but to stop gripping. Before I finish, one more assurance for the ordinary fears that still patrol the edges. You will still care deeply. You will still make promises and keep them. You will still quit what you must quit and begin what you must begin. None of that is threatened by ease. Ease is not the enemy of responsibility. It is the end of solemn self-importance. People will feel safer around you because you are living from the ground instead of from a pose. You will feel safer around yourself because the interrogations have ended. Where there was defensiveness, there is play. Where there was self-obsession, there is room to see others. Where there was performance, there is contact. And if someday you catch yourself lecturing life again, explaining to it how it should behave, don't panic. Laugh. You are simply rehearsing an old habit in a new suit. Habits unwind when they are seen without drama. You do not need to replace them with better habits. The intelligence that runs your breath will dissolve what is unnecessary as you stop feeding it with fear. Trust this, and the circle does not end. It lives. I have said enough. Forget what can be forgotten and keep what cannot be lost. Do not turn this into a flag to march under. Let it be a coat you hang by the door when it is warm and put on when it is cold. Let it be ordinary. Let it be near. Let it be yours without ownership, like light on a wall or a familiar path under your feet. We started with the exhaustion and the promise that something would be taken away. We end with lightness because the promise kept itself. Nothing was added, the extra was removed. What remains has always been present, waiting for your arms to unclench. Go on with your day as your day, with the quiet authority of someone who no longer bargains for permission to be. If you discover yourself searching again, remember the small joke we kept returning to. You were standing in the river while buying water. There is nothing more to do with this. Let it rest where you are resting. Let it work in the background, the way seasons work, unhurried, faithful, uninterested in your calendar. If you must remember a sentence, let it be the short one that does not strain the heart. You are already here. Everything you need to meet will be met from here. Everything you need to release will be released from here. The circle is complete not because it closes but because it never opened.